Hey, what is up guys? It's Stan here, back with another video. In this one, we're gonna be taking a look at Edelkrone's brand new lineup for 2021. I recently upgraded to this setup right here. This is the SliderPLUS Pro version 5 with the slide module version 3 and the HeadPLUS Pro version 2. Right here, this is the old one I had, and this is basically the exact same setup, only one version less, which I think it came out most of last year, if actually probably 2 years ago now. So I've been using this a lot, and now I've got the brand new one, and I really want to talk about the nuanced differences between the new one and the old one, and my thoughts on the whole setup. Now, just to get out of the way, I am not sponsored by Edelkrone, or at least not yet. If you guys are watching, you know how to reach me. That said, there are always pros and cons with these setups and equipment. Certainly you can see I am a fan of their products, and I do think that there's a lot of more pros than cons. And especially with the newer version, there's a lot of quality of life changes, that improvements with the new version compared to the old. So let's take a look at this in detail. Starting from the top, this is the HeadPLUS Pro version 2. Physically, you can see it is basically identical to the old one. You got the L-shaped bracket, full metal construction with the L bracket, basically the same. However, the details and the nuances are what I want to cover. So starting from the back, we do have a little bit difference in connections. On the old one, you had two Ethernet data ports, a focus module and a laser module. In the new one, we've lost a focus module because the focus module is standalone now, meaning it's got its own Bluetooth connection. You don't actually need the wire to connect it to the HeadPLUS. Of course, it's sold separately, but this is really nice because you know, those thick Ethernet wires used to get in the way a little bit. Sometimes as you're doing the slide or doing the pan, you know, it'll get tangled up, and less wires is always a good thing. So that's a nice change. Below that, you've got two link-in connections, which is not available on the old unit. These link-in connections are most likely for the tracking module that's currently unreleased yet. It's an upcoming module that allows you to track faces and follow subjects, and it's very, very exciting. So at least for me, I think because you know a one-man team allows, with this tracking module, you can walk around and the camera will follow you. So if you want to have that feature, you have to get the HeadPLUS version 2. The version 1 will not be compatible with it. Other connections, you've got the camera shutter connection and the power in, which is the same. You can see here I've got a big battery, a V-mount battery on the HeadPLUS Pro unit, and I've got a double LPE6. Both, you know, you can swap them. Basically, whatever you want to use to power your HeadPLUS unit is up to you. So that's no big deal. There is a quality of life change down here. You've got a lock that allows you to, pull the pin or push the pin in so that you can lock the HeadPLUS from rotating. Before, you know, as you're moving this thing around, the HeadPLUS unit would kind of just spin and you really couldn't do anything about it. With this locked in now, it's basically locked in. However, there is a little bit of slop in here. I want to say maybe like 5-degree movement. I would have liked it if it was a little bit more tight in the lock, but a lock is certainly better than no lock at all. One of the biggest improvements of the new HeadPLUS unit, and in fact the whole lineup, is the included power button and the little OLED display. Below here you can see there's a little power button and a little display, and this display will show you the slide progress, the boot up sequence, shutdown sequence, and just little details about the unit without having to go to your phone. Both the HeadPLUS version 2 as well as the SliderPLUS version 3 have this OLED panel and power button. One last little quirk or feature I want to point out is the inclusion of this thumb screw right here. This little shiny silver screw is to help with the leveling function of the cradle, meaning you can screw it in and it'll kind of tilt it up by pushing it up a little bit, or you can loosen it and then it'll drop this cradle by a few degrees. With this new feature of this thumb screw, I actually looked at the old version here, and what I didn't realize was that there was also a little sunken set screw here where you can also adjust. I had an issue where the camera would kind of tilt down a little bit, and I would always be pushing it up just a few degrees just to try to get it up, level and whatnot, and eventually it'll drop back down. Now that I know that there's a little set screw here, that's not gonna be an issue, but it's nice that it's a thumb screw and it's a lot more visible on the new unit. That pretty much concludes the differences analysis of the HeadPLUS unit. Everything about the HeadPLUS functionality is the same. All of the controls on the app is the same. The way that you interact with it from the app and the functionality, basically identical. So moving on, let's talk about the SliderPLUS itself. As you can see, the SliderPLUS, this is the Pro version. So the base is gonna be a little bit bigger, and the base being bigger is gonna allow you to have more weight, hold more weight. So I've got the HeadPLUS Pro, SliderPLUS Pro. If you choose to use the non-Pro version, the base is gonna be smaller and the head unit's gonna be smaller. Certainly, if you're gonna be using a camera like the R5, for example, the regular version is plenty fine. Sometimes I use the C200, which I'm shooting with right now, and that requires a little bit extra height just to get that balance in. That's why I've got the HeadPLUS Pro unit and the Pro slider. Now, this slider is the SliderPLUS Pro Long. Previously, I had the Compact. Both the Compact and the Long do its job very nicely. The Long will allow you to slide quite a bit more when it's on the table. With the Compact, it does great on the tripod, but it doesn't do so good when placed on the table. So that's kind of why you would maybe want the Long versus the Compact if you were to do some of that table ground type sliding. One major difference about the slide module is the power connector is not on the bottom anymore. On the old one, you had to power it in from the bottom. The new one, the power connector is on the ends. This is a nice quality of life change. However, with the included power buttons, you're not gonna be disconnecting and plugging the power button or power connector in all the time now, because of course you could turn it on with the power button. I really want to stress the inclusion of this power button on both the head unit and the slider is a very big deal, because on the old one, the only way to turn on the unit was to plug the DC power in or the battery pack into the unit. Very often, I would find myself forgetting to disconnect it to turn it off, and the next day I would hear a chirping telling me that the battery's low, and that's when I realized I forgot to disconnect it, and I'd find that I would have 2 dead LPE6 batteries. With this unit here, since you've got a power button on both the HeadPLUS and the SliderPLUS, you don't actually need to disconnect it anymore. There is an auto off feature that can be set to 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or something like that. So you can always leave it plugged in and it will turn off by itself, saving power. And when you do need to turn it on, you just hit the power button. It's great. Now, the slider version 5 itself is very similar to the version 4 again. However, there are 2 distinct differences between them. The first of which is the feet. And I don't mean the extended feet. The extended feet came with the head unit. I did not install the extended feet with this head unit because it's sitting on a tripod. I didn't think I need the extended feet, but the feet adjustment themselves is different. On the old one, this just kind of rotates around, and sometimes what you'll find is when you have it level or elevated, it'll kind of dip down because there's no way to lock the feet in. On the new one, the feet are notched and you can tighten and loosen and clamp it in so that it won't slip at all. This feet, once it's tightened in, it's not going anywhere, and this is a nice little feature. With this feature, this allows you to kind of change the elevation a little bit or keep it level if you're on not elevated ground. With the feet and with the ability to work this or use this on non-elevated ground, the slide module, I forgot to mention, was upgraded so that it can work on an incline. So they updated or beefed up the motor a little bit, and now you're gonna be able to slide along an incline, which the old one could not. Previously, if you were on an incline, it'll either start skipping or it'll just stop moving and beep at you. This one has a lot more power. It's gonna be able to move a heavier load up a higher incline. The second major difference with the slider is the end caps. You can see here the end caps, the way the old one works is you've got the belt kind of wraps around the two rollers and that's it. And the bottom of the belt is exposed. The new one, however, has this end cap completely encapsulating the belt. So if you're gonna actually remove this belt, which you can remove this belt, all you need to do is to detach. It actually gets stuck here and you have to remove the roller. The roller just pops right out. All you need to do is push here on the inside and the roller pops right out. That will allow you to pull the end links out of the unit and actually slide them through with the extra space. I don't know why they decided to do it this way. Perhaps they wanted a little bit more protection on the bottom side here. For preventing the belt from hitting the ground, I don't know. It's not a big deal either way. So with all that out of the way, the two units you can see are very, very similar in their function, but they've got small little tweaks for quality of life changes. Now, you can't actually buy the old version anymore on the website. If you were to buy one from Edelkrone directly, you would get the version 5, version 3, and version 2 of this unit. The only way to purchase the old one is if you were to go on eBay and purchase one used. So in terms of making a decision, do I buy the version 5 or version 4? Basically, if you're gonna be buying one brand new, you're gonna be getting this. However, that said, if you are in the market for a used one, I do think that there's a lot of value in the old units. Functionally, they basically do almost the exact same thing. The only real functional difference between the old one or the new one and the old one is the ability to slide on an incline and the compatibility with the upcoming tracking module for the head units. Now, if the question is, if you have the old one, should you upgrade to the new one? It's up to you, honestly. If you are happy with the old one, certainly there's no need to upgrade to the new one. For me personally, I wanted a longer slider and I wanted the compatibility with the follow tracking module. So since I knew I was gonna be upgrading later down the road, I figured I might as well get it now and put this old one up on eBay and sell the old one and kind of refresh my gear right now. So that's kind of what I'm gonna be doing, and that's the reason why I decided to get this now. So hopefully this helps you understand the differences of the brand new Edelkrone lineup. I do really think that these are one of the best slide modules systems that you can get. Everything is built very, very well, very sturdy, very tight. It's a full metal aluminum build. Basically everything is metal and aluminum. And generally, I haven't had that many issues with my systems. Once it's set up, tuned in, and ready to go, I kind of just leave my camera up there and don't really do that many adjustments. And every time I need to use it, I just power it on and let's do the slide. I really do like the functionality of being able to grab the unit, set the point number 1, and slide it over, set point number 2, and then hit the button and complete the slide. There's no finicking using joysticks or whatever. I really do think that the Edelkrone system is a very fast system that works very well. Hopefully this video was useful for you guys. If it was, if you can, hit that like button. And if you want to see more tech videos or camera gear videos, you can always consider subscribing. As always, my name is Stan, and I'll see you guys in the next one.